Hello and welcome to Believe in Abundance Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Christine Teague. Today, we will be talking about landing on your feet, overcoming fear of change, and embracing change. Some really big topics with my guest, Claudia Harvey. Let me just tell you a little bit about the show. My guest and I focus on guiding women on the journey to their true purpose by encouraging them to live a more abundant, creative, faithful, and giving life by connecting with women who have experienced hurt and are making an impact in this world through their healing process, yes, by helping others. My guest today, Claudia Harvey, is a successful entrepreneur, business owner, speaker, and advisor. Claudia Harvey is one of the few women to successfully strike a deal with the dragon, with venture capitalist Kevin O'Leary from, yes, Canada's Dragon's Den people. As co-founder of Apparel Incorporated that launched sales, in 2009, Claudia and her business partner entered the Dragon's Den and faced the scrutiny of the dragon. The unique product and business model used on the pitch was the key selling point to gain interest from the most notorious dragon. I just love doing that voice, dragon. Kevin O'Leary. With gloves in hand, her company successfully struck a deal with O'Leary in season 4. Since inception, the It brand has seen considerable national retail growth, added new products to its line, and expansion into the U.S. The proof is in the pudding, people, regarding this entrepreneur's business savvy and success. Claudia began her career in the corporate area in senior management positions. However, she is now a much sought-out public speaker and strategy consultant while she oversees operations for It. And there's so much more about her, but we got to get on to the show. Hello, welcome to Believe in Abundance, and thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on your show. I really, really appreciate it. I'm very well, thank you.
That's awesome. Your story of the Dragon's Den is a pretty amazing experience. I am interested to know, the moment before you stepped out onto the stage of the Dragon's Den, how were you feeling at that moment?
It was, the whole experience was very, very surreal. We were obviously extremely nervous and scared. You're opening the door at the back of the studio, and you have to go across a platform and walk down the stairs. If you've seen the show, you've seen sort of the silhouette of the people going across and walking down the stairs, and then you get into the actual studio in front of the dragons on stage. And both my partner and I were carrying props for the stage, and we had high heels, and the idea of even just getting down onto the stage without falling because your legs are shaking and you're so nervous, that was a major feat in itself. But as soon as we actually got on the stage, we started our pitch and it started to flow. But I think the reason we were comfortable when it started to flow was because we had practiced and we had prepared, and we knew what we were going to be talking about. We knew what our pitch was going to look like. We knew what our ask was going to be. And once we started, within the first 5 or 10 seconds, it was fine. It was great. It started just to roll. So very nervous at the initial part, but we overcame it, and we started to pitch, and it was fine. It was great.
I love that. We overcame it.
Absolutely.
I have another question for you. Sorry, give us a sneak peek into the journey of Claudia Harvey. What are your hurts, healing, and in turn helping others? What are your stories that brought you to this point in your wonderful life?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Honestly, 25 years ago, I never really thought I would be where I am today. I assumed that I would have a corporate life and a corporate job, and I had gone down that path. As soon as I graduated university, I beelined for Bay Street and got a job within 2 weeks of graduating university. But I got a job as an assistant, as a secretary. So even though I had a university degree, I was not proud. I decided that I was just going to get any type of job that I can possibly get just to get into the environment where I wanted to be. And I learned from the ground up on the people around me, learned what I liked, what I didn't like, and I really realized that I wanted to be on the outside of the corporation, so being on the face, talking to customers, not behind the scenes. So within 2 years, I reached the goal that I wanted to be on a sales position or a customer service position, and I started junior sales. Then within 10 years, I was vice president of Citibank and had a team under me and had national accounts, international accounts, traveling all the time. Had a wonderful job. It was wonderful. It was very, very busy, very, very fast-paced, as those types of jobs often are. Most jobs are. It was everything that I actually thought I was always going to be. So at the same time, I had started a young family. And the demands of having a young family and the demands of being on the road for 15 days out of every month and having a staff under me and having clients demanding and have, bosses from the United States pushing down on top, making sure that you're getting quota, it was a very fine line of trying to make sure that the balance was good and continuously moving forward. And I felt at one point that I decided this wasn't working for me. It was really hard to give up the idea that I was where I wanted to be in the corporate world, but really, was this really what I wanted to do in life? I was around 31, 32, and very, very, very stressed. I'm sure we've all been there. We've all felt that type of stress. Have you felt that type of stress, Christine, where you just think, I don't know if I can continue on doing this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure most women resonate with that because we have our demands of our family, we have our demands of our jobs, and we have our demands of our household, and we're trying to keep it all in balance. Well, I decided that I was going to give it up. It was a huge decision, and I thought, what's my next step? Don't know really what that's going to be. And it was really, really hard to determine what the next step was going to be, but I was bound and determined to land on my feet. I knew that I had come from an internal junior position, and within 12 years was in a vice president of sales job. So I knew that I could land on my feet. I had my education. I had my health. But I didn't really know what that was going to be. So, and I really, really wanted to be with my family. I didn't want to be on the road 15 days out of the month. So I gave it up. I gave up my nice salary, my wonderful commission, and I don't say that to impress the listeners. It's to press upon the listeners how stressed a person and a woman can get in that type of role. So I decided that I was going to regroup, and I took an internal job, thinking that it would be more 9 to 5, and I learned some operational jobs within an outsourcing company. So I was, again, on the client side, but I didn't have to have meetings and travel for most of the month. But it was still 9 to 5, and we still had a nanny. By that time, I had 3 children, and again, down the road, about 6 years later, I went, oh, my goodness, I've done it again. But this time I've done it with a lesser salary, and I thought I'm just repeating the same pattern. I'm stressed. I'm trying to figure it out. I want to be at the kids' recitals and the kids' activities at school that parents can come to, and my family was really young, and I thought, oh, my goodness, I've done it again. So I decided one more time that I was going to stop. But this time, I'd had the sales and customer service experience plus the operations side of business. So I now knew how to run basically a whole company. I learned with every step of the way new talents and new things that I could do, and I started to understand really how to run a whole company. So we're around 2008, and my business partner, who is a longtime friend, she had come over to have a barbecue at my house, and she had destroyed her manicure in the garden the day before. And most some people say, well, so what, big deal? But, if manicures can be expensive. They can run from $22 to, $50 depending on what type of treatment you get. So she had destroyed her manicure, and she said on my deck, looking in sunshine and, over barbecue, they should create a manicure protective gardening glove. And I said, well, they could actually be us. Like, why can't they be us? So that's the concept of how Dig It Apparel was born. So it was my business partner's idea and my impetus to really start the company and get things going off the ground. And we were hand in glove, and put the two together to create Dig It. And then it took a year to start the company. It's like to create the prototypes, to create the name, the trademark, the packaging. We did 5 prototypes. And we went to market that Christmas in 2008. And I was very, very resistant to go on the show because I'd seen 1.5 episodes of Dragon's Den the day during that my tenure of being in business. And I thought, I just don't want to be one of those poor people on TV that get decimated on national TV. But Wendy convinced me that it was the proper time in our business, like we were just in our infancy of our business, and she thought, well, what really do we have to lose except for our reputation? So I said, okay, well, if you can go down and go to the CBC studios and pitch to the producers first, which is the routine of what you have to do. If you get past the producers, then you can get on stage, and then you could possibly get a deal, possibly get aired. So there's a whole bunch of stages involved. So she pitched to the producers. They liked our concept, and she called me up and said that we're actually going on stage. So then I went, oh, no. Oh, dear, we're actually really doing this. So with every step of my career, with every step of the way, I was always overcoming fears and challenges and always learning and always developing. And I think that's really how I've always landed on my feet, because even though Dig It, now 5 or 6 years later, we are now national across Canada in Home Depot and Lowe's, in select stores in Canadian Tire and some independents, and now we're heading into the United States in 2015. So we've grown significantly as a company from the infancy of when we actually went on Dragon's Den. And as we've grown, I've learned how to run a business and expand a business. So it's a learning curve every single solitary day, but why be afraid of it? Why just if you're afraid of it, then you're not going to try it, and you won't succeed because you've never even tried. And if you haven't succeeded and things go awry, that happens. It happens with all of us. But you take that information and you learn from that information, and you, again, land on your feet and head into a different direction, knowing that you've learned something along the way and along the process, and don't be afraid of that whole process.
Wow, absolutely. I love that story, and I'm so glad that we were able to share it on the air, because I believe it's going to touch lives of women who want to start something or are so stressed out in their current lives and businesses, and they just need a change and haven't taken that step. So the courage that you've taken to be on the show, to quit your job, to make that stand in your own life is outstanding. I have a question for you. Are you still in contact with anyone from the Dragon's Den?
Oh, for sure. Kevin O'Leary is our business partner. So he owns 10% of Dig It. Throughout the years, of course, we've had contact with Kevin. He doesn't help us run the company at all. He's a silent partner, but we've been able to use his name to advantage. So we had an update in Home Depot when we were launching nationally on Home Depot. So we were able to get on Dragon's Den again with an update, and that, again, was wonderful PR for our company and wonderful PR for him that he's partnered with a successful company that's still moving forward, and wonderful PR for Home Depot. So it's a win-win for everybody. So he helps us. And now, as we're heading into the States, we hope to be able to leverage a little bit more of his celebrity in the States, because he sits on Shark Tank, and we'll see where that goes. We're just, now in the infancy of heading into the States, and that's exactly where we wanted to be when we were actually on stage pitching to the Dragons, because if you actually see the show, we talk about our 5-year plan is to be in the States, and we are basically within our 5-year plan. So it's another thing I wanted to get across to the listeners, that you need to have a plan if you're going to actually move forward. And if you don't have a plan in life, if you don't even have short-term goals or long-term goals, then it's like being on a basketball court dribbling a ball without understanding where the hoop is. Because you're dribbling and you're dribbling and dribbling, you get really tired and you just don't know where to shoot. But if you have that goal, if you have that hoop to aim for, then you know how to pass the ball, you know how to get down the court, and you know where the hoop is to actually sink the ball when you actually get there. So I have long-range goals in life. I always had long-range goals in life. Sometimes those goals have adapted and changed, but there's short-term goals to get to my long-term goals, and I work backwards from my long-term goals to see how I would get there. So, again, with Dragon's Den, when we were on air, we talked about our 5-year long-range plan is to get into the United States, and we're doing that. We're getting into the United States next year in 2015. So we kind of met our goal. And then the next goal will be to expand across the United States. Probably take another 5 years. So
the basketball analogy, my husband's really going to appreciate that. He's been a basketball coach for, 25 years. So he's going to, he'll be on the Claudia team now.
There you go.
With all of the success that you've had in your life, in being a mom and having a family, what does believe in abundance mean to you?
Oh, I think you should be grateful for every step of the way. I think once you've reached your goal, even short-term goal, be happy that you've gotten there, celebrate that, and then move on to the next step. So, for instance, when I landed a job right after university, I graduated university in child studies and psychology, nothing to do with business, nothing. And I knew when I graduated from university, I did not want to be in child studies. I did not want to be a teacher. I had done co-op experience in university, and I realized that that's just not where I want to be. So, again, learning from what you don't want is almost as important as learning what you do want. So when I landed the job on Bay Street, I remember my very first day on Bay Street, and I was so dirt poor. I had 35 cents to my name, literally, to buy a muffin for lunch. And I thought, I'm sitting in my cube in Bay Street and thinking, I did it. I'm actually here. I remember going to Toronto with my dad when I was 10 years old, wanting to be on Bay Street, wanting to work there. And I thought, I'm here. I'm doing it. So I celebrated it for that day, had my little muffin, and then thought, okay, where do I want to be in 2 years? So I then decided what I was going to do next. So every time that you actually make a goal, even if it's a small goal, just celebrate the opportunity that you had to actually get there and be happy where you are. I am so grateful in my life that I've got my family, and I was able to carve out a career that could manage my family plus provide me with the satisfaction of work. And to me, that's what abundance is. You're moving through life and appreciating what you have.
I love it, and I absolutely agree with you. What is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote. Wow, that's an excellent question. I think my favorite quote is, life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Enjoy your strengths and create the next path in your life. So you're not finding where you're going. You're understanding who you are, what your strengths are, what you really enjoy in life, because life is way too short to be unhappy with doing something, and then creating the next step for yourself and then creating what your niche is going to be. And again, for instance, I thought I had wanted to be a corporate life. I really did. And I was good at what I was doing, but I knew that was just one tiny part of the big Claudia picture and where I wanted to be in life. So I created an additional part where I took control myself of my own business. So instead of working for other people and working extremely hard for other people, I now work for myself and work extremely hard for myself, but the rewards are there for myself. And I enjoy that. So it doesn't mean that you're not working hard to get there, because you absolutely are. But it's creating what you want to do in life instead of just letting life take you and push you around like a pebble in the ocean. Because I don't think that's what we're meant to be. I think we need to be happy in life and happy every day doing what you really like to do.
I'm sure that with being on the Dragon's Den and all the networking and public speaking that you do, you know hundreds of people. But I'd like to know a person that has inspired you through your journey.
That's an easy one. The person that inspired me since the beginning of time, in my time, has been my mom. my mom, she's now passed away, unfortunately, but she was my best friend. She was my champion, and she was an absolutely wonderful person. She was a German immigrant coming from World War II, coming to Canada, and she was 36 when she came to Canada, and she's only 41 when she had me. So very late in life, especially back then, she had children. She had my brother and myself, and she was a hairdresser, and she was an entrepreneur herself. She opened up 2 shops. After we had gotten into university, she opened up 2 shops. And so I learned kind of from the cradle to university what it's like to be an entrepreneur, but without realizing that I was having all these life lessons at the dinner table every night. So my dad was an entrepreneur. He had a business, and my mom had her hairdressing shops. Eventually, my parents divorced after 32 years, and people go, oh, no, that's terrible, but it actually wasn't. It was an amicable divorce, and they were still friends. They just decided that it just wasn't the way that they wanted to continue on with their life, and that's awesome. But my mom had a divorce settlement of $30,000, and by the time she died 10 years later, she had parlayed that through the stock market that she learned at the age of 72, only at the age of 72, how to parlay this amount of money. And she started playing the day trades, and I don't actually know what she did because I don't understand the stock market, but she parlayed that $30,000, and upon her death, she had $420,000. And she did it quietly, and she did it because, again, she learned at age 72 how to do the stock market. She had disabilities by the time that she was 72. She had a heart and kidney problems, so she wasn't too mobile, but she didn't want to be sitting there doing nothing all day. So she started to learn this absolute new trade, new idea, and she thought, well, I have this $30,000 little lump sum. What am I going to do with it? And she parlayed that into over $400,000 upon her death, which I had no idea. I was her I managed her estate when she passed away, and I'm like, wow, I really wish she would have told me how that she did this when she was alive. But she was our practice dragon when we were practicing to go on the Dragon's Den and we were doing our pitch. So I'd like you to picture this little lady with a very strong German accent sitting in my kitchen on my counter, and we were standing in front of her, and we were practicing exactly how we wanted to do with the pitch. And my mom had seen all kinds of financial shows, and she'd watched the Dragon's Den religiously, so she knew exactly what they were going to say. She knew all of the lingo, and she was grilling us like that she was a dragon. It was really quite humorous and quite funny, and it's a wonderful memory that I have of my mom. So she's exactly what I want to be when I grow up. Like, she's a person that's never, ever, ever stopped learning, and she just does it. She did it quietly, and she was happy with her family surrounding her, and she had a lovely life. So that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that story. Your mom sounds like a true inspiration.
She was. When she passed away, it was so incredibly hard for me. And she passed away within a week, an unexpected death. And it was very, very hard to get past that. And I think about her absolutely every day. I actually have a picture of my mom on the seashore sitting here on my desk. So she's looking at me every day.
Were you able to tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you?
I would be very happy to talk to anybody, and please feel free to go to my website, and my website is ClaudiaHarvey.com. So one thing I did not mention is that I'm now doing a lot of public speaking, a lot of assistance to anybody that needs help with launching their business and their career. So I have my own website, ClaudiaHarvey.com, and you can feel free to fill out email information on my website, and then I will send you a free audiobook on starting your own business. And all my contact information is on there. So ClaudiaHarvey.com, and you can see my YouTube channel, and you can see the actual airings from Dragon's Den and other things that I've done as well. And I'd be very, very happy to speak to anybody that's of interest to advance themselves forward in any way that they'd like.
Very cool. Thank you so very much. So I'm going to take this time because I want to thank you, our listeners, so very much for listening to the show. And a special thank you to our awesome guest today. You are a force to be reckoned with and an inspiration to women all over this world. Remember, I'm your host, Christine Teague, on Blog Talk Radio, encouraging you through your journey.